Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ralph, and today I'm getting back on my Corvettes here, the two Baldwin Motion Corvettes. One is the resin body, which you've seen. The other one is the Revell kit right out of the box. This is the Mini Exotics, and it's the Corvette Phase 3 GT. I've got some work to do to it, but today I'm focusing on pinning the mirrors. So, if you guys haven't heard of the term pinning, it makes it a lot easier because you got the mirrors here, and then you gotta glue them in spot. And what I like to do is run a pin through them. Here's a piece of wire, just brass wire that you can get. Check your hobby store; they usually have these in all kinds of different sizes. And this goes a long way. I don't know how many mirrors I pinned. This is like my second rod. I think I finally used up the last of the first one. And also this is a pin vise, which is just real tiny little drill. And then this one holds the bits in the handle, if you haven't seen one of these before. I'm assuming most of you have, or have used one or before or not, but real handy tool. And here's another case of bits. Got this from my local hobby stop, and it's got all kinds of sizes here. I lost one, but they're all marked what they are. And then so you use that. And if you don't know what size it is, this is just your cheap dial caliper, and you can use it to figure out what size anything is, or the bit here. So it's 0.01, which is pretty much right along with this. Yeah, this is just under 0.01 as far as diameter of the rod. And so that's some of the tools I use to put this away. That's if you need to measure it and find out exactly what size you're dealing with. The hardest part, especially with a mirror like this that has a taper, an angle to it, if you can see it, where it is angle mounted to the body. So getting your drill bit started, you just get this on here, and usually I'll go towards the flat face till I get the dimple started, and then just go real slow and don't push real hard. Let the drill bit do its work and get it started, and then I'll start to turn and angle it to where I know I'm going up into the mirror. And you can see the shavings coming off in there. And I just keep going, and you can see coming through. And just keep working. And you can actually see it bulging out a little bit on the side. I'm going to stop right there. But even if it pokes through and goes through the other side, don't worry about that. I mean, you can glue it in here and just retape it and do the body work, fill in the hole. Let's get this one going a little more. But if you poke through the side, it's not the end of the world. These are one of the thinner ones, much harder to deal with. But you can see it's going in there. Another thing I'll do every now and then, just to see how far I am, I'll put my fingernail at the base where the mirror is, and then pull the mirror off. Oh, doesn't want to let go. And that tells me how far into the mirror I've gone. So you can see I've gone about 1/8 of an inch. And that's plenty. It helps support the mirror, makes it easier to glue. And then might as well do the other side. And try not to poke your finger. It's one of the reasons why I let the drill bit do its job, is just push it through, or just a small amount of pressure, let the drill bit do its thing. You push hard enough and it will cut faster, and it also poke through the bottom side and stick you right in your finger. I won't tell you how I know that, done it a time or two. Get a little too excited and a little too ambitious. And you can see the drill bit doing its work. And let's see. How far in are we in on this one? Not very far. Okay. So we'll keep drilling on this one. Get a little farther. Oh, you can see I started to poke through on that side. So now I know how far I am on that one. So I'll stop right there. And then here's my rod. Yeah, there we go. You can see it flops around a little bit. But now it's time to glue the rod. So just put a dab of glue. And I'll put some glue on the end here. And slide it in there. Give that a second to set up. And then, that was kind of funny. It's on one end. And then I'll go ahead, put some glue on the other end. And slide in this side. Let's get some more glue in there. There we go. And then I'll let them both dry. So I'll give that a second. And these were already drilled and pinned already. And then you can see the hole in the body right there. And I'll run the vise through, make sure they're cleaned out and that the rod will fit through. But this one I have not drilled the holes yet. Not really sure where to mount them. But a simple way. Here's your part snipper. And it cuts this brass rod real easy too, so I'll go about 1/4 of an inch, cut it, so that piece is free. And this one right there. Okay, there's those two. And since I'm doing 2 cars, get another bead of glue on the end here. And I'll slide this through. Well, let's get a little bit more. There we go. Nice little bead on that one. That's another way to glue it. I like to put glue on the tip. And you can also just do it that way. Get it to go into the hole. Like that. And then feed this through. And if you got a little bead of glue or extra glue, you can always get it with the toothpick or razor blade, scrape it off, or even a Q-tip, just to have it pull the extra off. Yeah, have the Q-tip, just dab it and get the extra off. So these two are glued on. So we'll cut that one, and we will cut this one. So And there you can see on this one where I did go through. You can see where the rod is actually coming through. Brass sand's really easy, so you can always file it or sand it. Then you get some super glue in there and fill it. Matter of fact, I can see it's open, so I'm just gonna put a dab of super glue right there on the side, let it fill in the hole, and I'll sand the super glue hole. Let's see, did I go through on this one? A small amount on this one as well, so here we go. A little dab of super glue. Now don't forget that the super glue is there, because if you're like me, you end up handling the part and forget the super glue is there and you glue it to your finger. Yeah, this one poked through as well. They tend to taper, these ones, so it's real easy to poke through. Don't worry about that too much. So that's real simple. That's pinning it. Then the last step is, once it's done, I'll use the little peg, eyeball where I want the mirror. So I will take this and mark where I want it. And I'll usually just scratch a little hole, scratch a little mark, like right here. And then, let's see. So there we go. So if you can see the little scratch mark right there, so that's where I want to put the mirror. And I'll line up my pin vise. Make sure my fingers are not where it's going to poke through. Again. And then we'll drill that through. And just take it easy and go slow. There it goes. And there, we went through. And then if you don't like where it is, you can test fit it. Take one of the mirrors, slide it in the hole, pivot it up, get an idea where you are. It's not glued, so it just pivots on the pin right now. It'll give you an idea where you are. And so it's pinned and ready. Then you can go back to body work. But if you don't like where it is, you can always fill in that hole and do another one. Sometimes move it back, forward. Sometimes you don't even have to fill a hole because you just move it just a little bit and you get it real close. But there's that for pinning mirrors. That's what I do to pin mirrors, and I really prefer to do that on models like this with mirrors like this where they stick out and it's really easy to catch them on your finger and break them off. Helps hold them on. Plus, when it comes to finally gluing, you've got a little pin to hold on to when you paint, which on these ones I actually poke a tiny little hole in the cardboard, and then I'll just glue the mirror, and when I paint it, get paint on the underside, and I'll put it down on the peg, get paint on the top side. Then the final coat, I'll paint the whole thing, but the pin will actually help hold it in the cardboard when I paint a part. And when I talk about cardboard, this is what I do when I paint parts. Here's all the parts I'm going to paint gloss, or semi-gloss black. I mount them to a piece of cardboard, I take them off the sprue, I clean them all up, and I stick them on this, and I got tape mounted backwards. And then I'll paint one side, and then I'll flip it over and paint the other side. But I airbrush all my parts. That's just personal preference. And this is how I like to actually paint all my parts. Mount them on cardboard like this, and I'll paint the one side, get as much of it as I can, and then flip it over on the other side. And sometimes there's a lot of paint on there, so I'll have a second one already ready, and then I'll transfer them over to that one so that they stick better. Because once you got all the overspray in all the other areas, it's hard to stick them back on. Sometimes you can just flip them right over because there won't be paint to where it was stuck. But other parts like this, you kind of need to put them on a fresh piece. But that's just what I do when I paint my parts. So I get an idea on how I like to do things. When I do it this way, there's less cleanup. If you paint them right on the sprue and you cut them, you have to touch up an area. You still may have to touch up this way. So nothing's perfect. That's just my personal preference on that. But that concludes this particular thing I wanted to show you on pinning. And for those of you who have not done it or don't really know, but it's pretty simple, pretty easy, not too intimidating until you poke your finger. But again, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for tuning in, and you guys have a wonderful day.